So we've talked about three different scenarios that could come up in order to see how long it'll take for businesses to see a positive ROI on their LinkedIn ads. What are those three scenarios, and how long do each of them have to wait before deciding whether or not their ads are working?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the more common ones that get asked, and usually some of the ways they ask it is how long does it take before I see a positive ROI, and how much should I be spending on LinkedIn ads? And instead of giving them like a marketer's "it depends" kind of answer, I put it into three main categories that I think are at least helpful in giving people a better idea. The first one is you have a healthy marketing ecosystem, you have other paid ad channels, you have healthy traffic going to your website and it's converting. So that tells me that you have maybe Google ads, some paid listing sites, you've invested in SEO and maybe something else. You're sending quality traffic to your website and it's actually converting. In that case, and then you're looking to add on LinkedIn as like an extra piece to an already healthy ecosystem, that's an ideal dream situation. And LinkedIn could probably be show a positive ROI in about as little as 30 days because you can actually start with retargeting. You can actually just start retargeting your Google ads traffic and your SEO traffic, qualify them with LinkedIn ads and retarget them. And you could start seeing conversions in about 30 days. And honestly, you wouldn't even have to spend that much. It might be like $2,000 to $3,000 a month to retarget your other traffic, and you'd start seeing conversions and a positive ROI. The second situation would be you have maybe one solid cold source of traffic. Maybe you're running Google ads, but you're not running, a bunch of other stuff. Your SEO is maybe still immature. And then you still are converting on your website. Maybe your website could be more optimized, but it's doing decent, and your cold source of traffic has a positive ROI right now. So in that scenario, LinkedIn has to do a little more work. You'll probably want to leverage it to put additional cold traffic on your website, and then also using it to convert that traffic, plus your Google search traffic or whatever your kind of anchor cold layer is. So it has to do more work than that first scenario, but it's not like completely on an island. In that scenario, I would say, $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Maybe it would take, 2 to 3 months, or around three to, maybe 90 days, 90 plus days to carve out a positive ROI. That would be pretty reasonable. And then in the third scenario, you don't have much going on. You don't have like a solid source of paid traffic to your website, or you do, but your website is poorly converting and needs a lot of work. It's ugly and just out of date. Or, you don't have product market fit. You don't have a defined offer. You're unsure. And so you're using this as kind of like to get things off the ground, and LinkedIn has to work hard in a silo. In that scenario, that's the worst case scenario. And usually in that scenario, we're advising people LinkedIn is not the place to start. And I'm honest, as a LinkedIn ads agency, LinkedIn ads is not for everyone. But in that scenario, where you're looking for it to do all the work and work in a silo, that could be looking at $5,000 to $6,000 a month, and it could take 4, 5, maybe even 6 months to carve out an positive ROI with that amount of spend. So, and that's a hefty price tag before you start seeing a positive ROI. So those are the three main situations that I see, and kind of the budgets and timelines.
So that was a really great breakdown. A really great way for people to understand how much spend needs to go into LinkedIn in order to see that positive ROI. I will summarize it a bit just in case we need a clip for social. So just to summarize, there's three kind of scenarios that we look for when looking at LinkedIn ads clients and whether or not we're a good fit and how long it'll take for them to see their positive ROI. So the first one, and the most ideal situation, is going to be a healthy existing marketing ecosystem with other paid channels. They have some healthy converting traffic. SEO is looking strong, and we just need to add LinkedIn as an add-on to an existing system. This one will maybe take 30 days to see a positive ROI, and we'd only really need $2,000 to $3,000 per month for retargeting. The second one maybe has one solid cold source, so that could be Google ads, but probably an immature SEO ranking, still converting, but maybe not optimized on their website. And so LinkedIn needs to do more work. We would need to add the cold layer and the retargeting layer. So LinkedIn isn't necessarily an island, but it needs to provide more support. So that would need about $3,000 to $4,000 per month and maybe 3 months for you to start seeing an ROI. And then in our third scenario, anyone with poor traffic to their website, the website's not converting, there isn't a product market fit, or maybe your offer is undefined and you're looking to get things off the ground, we would advise that LinkedIn is not the place to start. If you want it to do all of the work, then you'll need, $5,000 to $6,000 per month, 4 to 6 months to see a positive ROI, and that's just not really realistic for a lot of people.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty accurate summary. And that should give people a pretty good idea of the timelines and budgets. So I think that's what they want. And I think most people know no one fits into any of those budget or buckets perfectly, but they kind of say, okay, I have nothing. Like this is where I'm starting. Or I kind of have, a little bit going on. So LinkedIn won't have to work so hard. But I think what's surprising too is people in that first bucket, sometimes they don't understand that like how good of a situation that is for them because they have this mature ecosystem. And yet for some reason, they were still thinking LinkedIn was going to be some siloed channel that they're going to have to carve out from scratch. They didn't realize that they could start with just retargeting and it's going to improve the ROI of the other channels. So those are good conversations to have when they realize they're in this really nice bucket one and they thought they were going to have to do it in a silo.
Yeah, and I think the good kind of takeaway here too is really knowing and understanding where you're at as a company and understanding what your marketing ecosystem looks like, because you can only really self-diagnose whether your ecosystem is healthy or not. And so at the end of the day, like you have to be real with yourself on where you're at in your marketing. And if you're not at the place that's ready for LinkedIn ads, then, just being real about that with yourself.
Well, yeah, hopefully they would have some kind of self-awareness to know if they have a healthy marketing ecosystem or not. I mean, that the easy way would say, are you bringing in and making more money than you're spending on marketing, which can be hard for the funded startups. They burn a lot of cash on marketing, and it's a different kind of fuzzy math to know if they're headed in the right direction with that. But for most bootstrap startups, yeah, if you're not getting a positive ROI from your marketing spend, you're not in an ideal situation yet.
Yeah. And then kind of continuing with this conversation. So let's say somebody is in one of those first two buckets and they've waited, X amount of time to see if they are getting that positive ROI. What can they do to diagnose and optimize ads that maybe aren't working?
So a couple of things I would do is I think we do have, I probably don't have it readily available. I have a LinkedIn audit like checklist. There's some very foundational things you could do just to make sure that the current settings of your account are kind of optimized as far as, you shouldn't be wasting most of your budget on LinkedIn Audience Network or expansion. There's the and or filters that can be easily messed up. There's the basic retargeting framework that you should be kind of rolling out to improve the optimization of your campaign. And then there's, frequency matching. Like if your retargeting video campaign has a 90-day frequency of 17 because you have a really healthy budget or a small retargeting group, but you only have 3 ads running, then these people are saying the same 3 ads over and over and over. And so having more creative quality. So there's that kind of stuff there. And then there's just diagnosing, like there's third-party software. We use agency analytics. One of the big ones is people usually tend to start broad. So I'm targeting these 20 industries. But then after you look through the numbers, you start to realize that for most companies, there's a handful of industries or company sizes or position titles or seniority that they're getting the most traction with. They see that 90% of their conversions are coming from the software financial services industry. So they can make huge improvements by simply cutting out, the 80% of their spend that was going towards these other industries when this 20% of the industries was generating 80% of the results. So just looking more at the back end data and really getting clear on your targeting and getting the settings right is some of the easiest and most foundational stuff you could do to improve that ROI.
Yeah, I like the LinkedIn audit checklist. I think I've seen that at some point in training, but that would probably be a good asset to have in here too.
Yeah, I think I made a post about it, but I don't know if it exists like internally anywhere yet. So it'd probably be something to make look a little more attractive than the Google doc that it lives in right now and distribute it a little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, even just like internally, it would be good to have for our account managers too.
Yeah. The team always likes it when or sarcastically, they like it when I make a post making something available that to the public that hasn't been
That they didn't
available to
have.
our, yeah, they're like, hey, that's actually something that we would like to have as your team.